Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fine. My name is Skyline, and his name is Bishop. Well, everyone welcome Bishop, great to have you. Oh no. Oh, is your mic okay? Oh, okay. Talk, Bishop, talk. Oh no, you're great. One time is fine. One time is fine. Maybe two might be the charm, but anyway, guys, today, we're doing Overwatch Daily number 17 today, and we have a great match for you today. Lunatic Hai versus Mighty AOD, a map rather, on Hollywood. So today we're gonna go over, there's a triple DPS defense and some other cool stuff too. So I'm pretty. Let's just get into it. Do you think we should get into it, Bishop? I think we should probably just get into it. All right. So, Lunatic Hai versus Mighty AOD. This was a great match, by the way. I totally recommend you check it out. Apex Season 3. Go watch it on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description for you guys on YouTube. And right off the bat, Lunatic Hai. 3 supports. Lucio, Zenyatta, Ana. What is going on?
It's definitely an interesting comp that has been used a lot by LW Blue, Kongdu recently on Hanamura. We'll see this play out, but expect these guys to probably turtle and really reap the benefits off of their sustainability.
Well, we're going to see this first fight here happen, and Lunatic Hai does hold it pretty convincingly. And look, so they're trying to dive, Mighty AOD is trying to dive Lunatic Hai's supports. They try to dive Ryu Jae-hong, but they don't quite get there. And part of the reason why this is so strong on this part of Hollywood is that you have all these little places. I'm gonna just pop. Well, let's actually get the camera into a good spot. I'll get there eventually. Here we go. Perfect. So we have all these great places for the support players to hide back here, particularly in this little pit area over in Cafe. Do you think that this is why this lineup is particularly useful on Hollywood?
It's interesting that you mentioned it because there's a lot of places to hide. Most people, the go-to place is probably going to be the cafe to the right side over there. It's actually interesting to see Lunatic Hai turtle towards the dumpster pit over there that you just mentioned, and it's really difficult to reach. The DPS players are really going to have to commit a lot of resources to actually get in there and do damage on the supports, and they were trying to do that, and it did not work. Maybe if they went for the tanks instead, see what happens. What do you think?
Oh, certainly, because these tank players and also Who Are You, the non-supports, are just so crucial here to this entire lineup. Because, I mean, if you take out one of the supports here, even Ryu Jae-hong on Zenyatta, it's not too big of a deal. But if you take out Miro on Winston, that's like all of their frontline power. If you take out Who Are You, that's all of their precision DPS. And we're going to see later on, actually, the Mighty AOD does manage to punch through by killing one of these non-support heroes. So Miro takes a lot of damage there, but it's still okay. Miro can do whatever he wants here, Bishop, because he has 3 healers. It's not that big of a deal. And Erster actually does try to find a chance to use the blade. It doesn't quite work. So here, triple support holds 2 minutes and 30 seconds. What do you think is the weakness of this composition? What could Mighty AOD swap off to something, or potentially just play differently?
Going in as triple tank, that would probably net them the win, but then it would transition horribly. Second point, which is why I think Mighty's probably sticking with this comp. I wanted to point out that Erster probably uses his blade here earlier that fight just because he was thinking that Lunatic Hai supports didn't have them, but Ryu Jae-hong had his ult and it didn't connect. That was a bit unfortunate.
Look here, so this is pretty important. First of all, this is a really great anti-nade. Lots of purple on Mighty AOD. We couldn't quite see on the camera at the time, but also notice that here, this fight looks a lot different than before. In other fights, Mighty AOD was just going straight into the back line, all in like a Congo line or just in a group, and they were trying to get back, particularly to Ryu Jae-hong, particularly to Guido, but they could never do it without trading out too much. And here, they're a little bit more spread out. They're kind of pushing up a little bit more slowly. And in fact, we see that Eska goes down early on. She gets demacked out of the Diva suit. And here, Mighty AOD does a really, they managed to push through. There we go. So I think that certainly just playing a little bit differently, playing a little bit slower, because this is a weird composition. You can't just play against this like you play against normal comps.
Definitely. It's a comp that requires a lot of patience. Wait until they're exhausted. Mighty did a great job of spreading out there, and DM, props to him for going in from behind and making all that room for his team to engage. That was well played.
I think we're going to get away from this comp in just a second, but one thing to note is which of these supports kind of is taking the place of the DPS here, because normally you see the 2-2-2, right? And we have a Zenyatta,
Right.
a Lucio, and an Ana. So which one, if you were to put one in, would be the DPS hero?
I've spoken a lot with most of them agree that the idea is to have Ana essentially, while she is a healer, you're essentially playing her like a DPS. And yes, there have been nerfs to her damage by 20, but her kit, her biotic grenade, essentially is probably one of the most scariest offensive tools that you can have off of a healer.
For sure. Her darts kind of tickle you a little bit now, as opposed to really wrecking you like before. But I do agree, even though Ryujay Hong on Zenyatta is crazy DPS, here you can't see it too much on the camera, but the Ana player was really focusing on damage there over healing in particular. So here we're in the second part, and we've gone through a couple minutes of footage without talking too much about it. It's just sort of Mighty AOD rolling through. This part of Hollywood is so hard to get your traction back as a defender, especially with this 2-2-2 comp. The Mighty AOD is running so momentum, like they can retain their momentum so well, and Lunatic Hai just can't quite push out. How do you guys address pushing out of the second point? Do you guys run into this sort of issue?
Oh, definitely. Second point Hollywood is a disaster to restabilize, and I guess the key is to just disperse everyone. There's 3 exits that you can go out from. It's important that everyone spreads out from different angles, but even then, it's still really hard. Since the opposing team will have all the momentum that they need, they will have high ground, and as you can see, Mighty was having initially a hard time, but it looks over here that they're going to be able to stabilize.
Yeah, so that was actually pretty close. You're right. Lunatic Hai came out with, some good timing there. Almost punched through. They had a shot, didn't quite do it. But now we're getting into this last section of the map, of course. And Lunatic Hai running triple tank. Well, actually, we'll let this fight play out. So Mighty AOD is staying on this comp just to push the momentum through. But we're going to see that both teams actually swap off to the standard triple tank lineup. And a big part of this is because, that was a perfect shot actually, but this is okay too, of Hollywood's last point, and this is pretty similar with most points, in fact. With most points, is that Hollywood is very safe on the last point, but like I said, most parts of the map, most maps, at the last point you have a wall against your back. You have usually more terrain going on for you. So it's much safer if you're backline. You can run this triple tank. You can rely on your soldier player and your Ana player to just be safe, no problem. It's really hard to break. And so, do you think that there's an alternative to this? Like, instead of just both players, and instead of just both teams jumping on the triple tank bandwagon or the train or whatever, what's the alternative here? Is that just like the BL end all?
It really played perfectly. A Widowmaker is often played here. Mendo has shown that it can work from the far side. I think mirroring would be a great choice.
Mirroring definitely does seem to be the easiest thing here. There's a lot of risks once you start to go into other type of lineups, especially like the Widowmaker can get shut down relatively well. In this fight, here we're seeing perfectly, look, Lunatic Hai just pushes their backs against the wall, no problem. And they had the barrier to assist them, but that was actually a pretty good dive by AOD. They had that relatively well coordinated, but they still couldn't get enough damage out. Yes, there was the barrier on Lunatic Hai, but also you could see as Miro and Guido on those 2 tanks just put their backs against the wall, were able to defend Ryujay Hong. And, well, nobody died. Erster, once again, goes for blade, has a lot of success with it, but at this point, there's, they almost got it. Eska had the visor, though, to clean up at the end. Plus the defense, the defense respawn is going to let them stabilize. So Mighty AOD almost takes it. Maybe a couple tweaks would have let them take it. But Lunatic Hai does hold out with 2 minutes remaining.
So it was a good burn push by Mighty AOD. They wanted to maintain the momentum that they point second, and they wanted to use as many ults as they could before they had to eventually swap into the standard comp to mirror theirs.
Oh yeah,
They was very close.
It was very close. They stayed on the Genji for the, to keep the ults and stuff. An early hook on the D.Va, that's very difficult to come back from. It also gave an opening for Miro to charge his opposing Reinhardt, and so that just had us. Now we're gonna see here. I'm gonna pause this real quick. Step up by Guido. He steps up this is relatively aggressive. His team's kind of coming with him, and here he will get hooked. Oh no, the tragedy. The tragedy. So I know. We're just. If I turn the camera on, we'd just both be sobbing tears. I'm lying, by the way. We're not. They're very small tears. You can't see them. Well, this was a big risk, right? But there's a lot of reward for this. Look at the timer. 1 minute, 20 seconds. With this, you can make 2 pushes. Not a big deal if you're Mighty AOD on attack. But if Guido manages to find that hook of destiny, if you found a way in, Bishop, what are you doing? What are you doing to my stream, man? Are you DDoSing my stream?
Possibly. I mean, you are competition.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So let's watch that. Let's watch that one more time. I'm not sure when the stream dropped out. We'll have to fix this when we come back. Man, this is
right after the Reinhardt ult, so we're fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
I know, technology is hard, chat. Technology is hard. So here, as we were talking about before, DM comes around the back. Erster, he's gonna get a hook here. It's gonna be a brilliant hook on the D.Va. And this hook on the D.Va is going to allow DM to get all this in, because with D.Va around, the soldier can't be up here. The D.Va would just fly up, say nope. But because D.Va is dead, DM is able to have all this impact. However, the issue here is he doesn't jump down. I don't think he's quite aggressive enough, because while he's safe up here, you really need that DPS. You need that fragging power. You need that punching power to punch through this last point. And DM just up there can't quite get enough done.
Guido just in the right halls right there from Attack's perspective, just sitting there and killed Karev. And he's been, like I said earlier, he's been alive for way too long there. If he went down and killed the Roadhog first, I'm sure that Mighty AOD would have been able to capitalize on this and push all the way. Unfortunate, though.
Well, Mighty AOD is not, unfortunately, pushed all the way. The respawn's coming from Lunatic Hai. Barrier just to seal it up. Why not? And that's going to be it. Mighty AOD it gets stopped there. But, I mean, I would say with Hollywood, you certainly do want to get the first. It's a bit unfortunate if you don't get the first map completion, I guess.
Right.
Because you can certainly full hold on Hollywood, but I'd say on average most teams get at least a full map completion. And
a lot of teams opt out to go defense first. So I mean, there's that too. So there's a little bit of psychological stuff in there. If you can't push up the last point, you definitely feel under a lot of more pressure, which Mighty's probably going to feel.
Well, tell me a bit more about that, because people do talk a little bit about attack first versus defense first, all that sort of stuff. What do you think the biggest deal is when you're picking defense first? Because it's an advantage, right, to pick defense first.
You get to test the waters out in a way, and when you're playing defense, you get to essentially just adapt to how the attackers are playing. There isn't much risk strategically when you're playing defense first, and it transitions well onto offense, because if you do hold very nicely, you go in with a strong, with high morale. If you fail, then you're still kind of just at. I mean, as long as you don't get, absolutely like ran over by the other team. Most cases, running defense is going to be always better for the team atmosphere, it seems. It's just been that way. I don't know exactly why.
Well, a big part of it is that if you hold up to, whatever point you hold at, normally on attackers, you have to, because with attacking, a big part of it is managing your resources. If you blow all your ultimates for this part of the map, well, then you have nothing for the next part of the map. You kind of need to play the long game. I guess the same thing can be said for defense, but with offense, you can say, okay, I know that this is we just need to push to here, not the entire map. We just need to push halfway. And so once we get to that halfway point, we can just blow everything, run much more aggressive compositions, much more aggressive stuff. We don't need to worry about the rest of the map. And I think that's a big part. Still, though, I think it's pretty even.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it's like 45 to 55. It's not a big deal. here we actually see a Reinhardt on Mighty AOD's side. And this is not the weirdest thing ever, but I think that it's a bit, I think it could be a
unorthodox.
Bit, yeah, what do you, the problem with the Reinhardt here that we're going to see actually in just a second is that with 2-2-2, here the Reinhardt is a bit passive, because with a D.Va you can push out against a dive, because Lunatic Hai, they're going to run a dive, right? They do.
Yes.
You know that. So the Reinhardt is pretty easy to squish with the dive, easy to squish back. And maybe if they're running super, super aggressively, like pushing up to the archway, something like that, it might be a little bit different. But here we're going to see actually the issue with Fate playing Reinhardt, and that's that the dive comes in. Now Reinhardt's pretty good at defending, right? Reinhardt's pretty good at saving people, but they just get squished into the cafe.
Everyone's getting stuffed. Everyone's getting cleaved, and they're right where Lunatic Hai wants them.
And so
maybe if they were against a 2-2-2 from Lunatic Hai, and they had a D.Va instead, Reinhardt might have had a better chance here. But so much pressure applied from all sides. I guess their only chance would have been to play a little bit more up forward before dive could spread up on them.
I agree. Actually, when I first saw this, I thought it was a bit of a metagame thing where it's like, oh, well, if the 2-2-2 comes out, this is not bad. This is not too bad, right? Because there isn't enough pressure to really, really hammer that Reinhardt. No pun intended. And, but, I mean, it is Lunatic Hai. You kind of have to expect that. Plus, 2-2-2 is just one quick swap away from being a dive comp anyway. or maybe, I guess, yeah, it's just one quick swap away, really. Lunatic Hai pushes through here. Mighty AOD actually winds up shutting them down. Unfortunately, a lot of it is off camera. We're going to see 3 kills off camera. Bam, right there, gone. So we can't quite see what happened. Who Are You does try to go for the blade, though. It doesn't get enough. So let's actually talk about a bit about blades with Genji. We've seen quite a few times that Genjis in this particular match, and Genji in general, are very liberal with the blade. And it charges quickly if you're a good Genji. But it's just such a comeback ultimate, right? You can always just go for the, like, oh, we're losing, let's just have Genji kill everyone. That's a good strat, right?
Genji is always going to thrive off of kills, resetting his shift. His blade pretty much is a guaranteed reset off of that. So anytime you can pretty much capitalize on that, Genji is a very solid pick. Korean teams are known to have strong Genji players, and it's working for them.
Oh, look at that. That was the most... How did he not pin him?
Don't know.
Reinhardt was that was one of those friendly pins where he just boops you away. He doesn't go through it the entire way. So in case you didn't just see it there, Fate looked like he should have pinned the soldier, but it just didn't quite happen. Regardless, it wouldn't have changed too much. Lunatic Hai did take that in a very, very dominating fashion. But Mighty AOD, they're trying to push back. Pulse bomb actually very close. And here's what I was talking about. Here's what we were talking about. You know, hey, you know, we're in trouble. We're in a little bit of trouble here. We can't quite push out. Erster, let's just use the Genji blade kills everyone strat. He killed 2 people, right? Maybe it's not everyone, but it was certainly enough to let them push through. Great timing.
One of those rare moments when Genji blade is free. I mean, there are no opponent support ult. Those moments are very rare, and when that is available, the Genjis should capitalize off of that, and Ursa did a great job.
So now we're just doing some normal high ground stuff, trying to take control of it. Lunatic Hai waiting for Eska to get up top. Very, very normal. Ryu Jae-hong is up top as well, but a good leap in from, well, Erster and his fellow Winston player jumps in, manages to get Ryu Jae-hong off of the roof. And once that happened, once they have control of that, you know, it's such a big deal. But once again, the best strat in the game is to just say, who are you? Go kill everyone.
He is a great Genji. I wanted to point out, actually, that as soon as he got boot back from sleep, he didn't hesitate. A lot of Genji players like to tunnel in. And even if they get boot back from Lucio, they'll be like, Lucio, I'm going to come get you. But immediately, he swaps off to D.Va. And I think this is a big thing that differentiates good Genjis from the mediocre Genjis, is that in their head, they know where everyone fail their first target, they immediately switch over. And who are you? He's a great Genji player. He did exactly that.
So you're saying they need to flow like water is what you're saying. They need to be able to go from target to target,
Jesus. Yeah, I flow like the water.
That was a sick sticky bomb, by the way. And
Yes.
the sticky bomb is making this a very, very scary push here from Lunatic Hai. But oh no,
It feels bad
does
when that
feel
happens. Yeah.
You never think it's gonna happen to you, right? It's like those teens, you know. Oh, it's never gonna happen to me. I'm gonna go into melee range with the Roadhog. He's not gonna left click me. It's not gonna happen. I know that you felt it as Tracer. Everyone has felt that with Tracer. He's not gonna left click me, but he does. He does sometimes do that. And a really strong push from Lunatic Hai really got dampened because of it. 3 minutes left. Mighty AOD does launch off a D.Va ultimate. Not quite a lot of follow-up to it, but it did go a bit far, I think.
Yes, if it was a bit shorter, maybe their team might have followed up on it, but that was a waste of D.Va ult. Let's just be blunt here. Yeah.
It was wasted. Normally, at least you would get some pressure off of it, right? Because you launched the D.Va ult off. You launched the D.Va ultimate off, and actually, if we can turn around here, Fate, thank you so much, Fate. I love when the players listen to me. So the D.Va ult actually went over, kind of behind the pillar. It was difficult to really get too much off of it because it didn't force Lunatic Hai into a really terrible position because they could just, it was behind the pillar, so it didn't have too much of a radius to it that it actually affected. Normally, the idea there would be to launch the D.Va ultimate, and it's not going to kill anybody, but it will make people get into awkward positions, will make people maybe turn around if you're the Reinhardt with the shield, and that will allow the rest of Mighty AOD's composition to go and attack them. It's an offensive play on defense. And the D.Va ultimate, it's not that big of a deal. It's okay to use that for that purpose. Now, I really wouldn't be a fan if they used like a nano visor to go kill him offensively on defense, right? That'd be a big waste. But if it's the D.Va ultimate, not a big deal. Still, they didn't get punished too much for the botched play there.
And they have enough ults to rotate with, so I think that was completely fine. Again, as it was going behind Reinhardt's shield, but like you pointed out, a bit too far.
A bit, yeah, just a bit. Here we see Eska comes up, and waiting for him is his foe, his arch nemesis DM. But actually, Eska was kind of wrecking DM there. He landed the Helix, but actually DM popped Visor because he knew he was losing, and then in response, Eska popped his own Visor.
If he had saved it, which might have been a little bit, but they do get through. A little miscalculated play there by Eska. Unfortunate.
Oh yeah, well because Visor is not a skill-based thing, like two soldiers dueling with Visor, that's not gonna ever be different. It's just based on raw numbers, right? So if the enemy soldier pops Visor first and you pop Visor second, you always lose 100% of the time because of just how it works. But it happens sometimes, right? It's so easy to be like, oh, fight's happening, press Q. It happens sometimes.
We do have to remember that when you have Visor activated, you can't headshot. So if you are at close quarters and you are confident about your aim and you land all headshots, you will beat the Visor because the Visor requires time to activate, first of all. There are a couple things that Eska could have done better there, and I think not Visoring would have been the better gambit.
Oh, for sure. At least then you can try to get those. I mean, you have your own aimbot if you're Eska, dude. Like, you don't even...
your natural aimbot, yeah.
We have actually something interesting to note here is that they do wind up swapping off. So Eska's no longer a soldier. They swap off to Who Are You for the Genji, and I think this is cool because so they were running triple tank before, in case you weren't with the picture, viewers. But now we have Eska on D.Va. Who Are You on Genji will wind up giving them the punching power to finally break this through. What do you think about this?
This looks really depressing for Lunatic Hai. On defense, they have 6 ults, literally 6 ults. They have the Dragon Balls.
Literally.
It's going to be extremely difficult to break. But they somehow managed to do it. And this is really fun to watch here because there's so many things that happen all at once, eventually leading to Who Are You to freely go in.
Well, like I said, if they did not swap off to this Genji, there's no way Lunatic Hai takes this, I think. because the only way, well, it takes this particular fight. I'm not saying like there's no scenario they couldn't have taken it right, but I think that we're gonna see it here. We're gonna show the fight. We're gonna show the fight, guys. We're gonna see a Nano Blade Genji, but first, actually, let's talk about how Mighty AOD executes this. They go for a very early, aggressive Nano Whole Hog. And what's this bad against? D.Va.
Perhaps their idea was to break the Reinhardt shield, but D.Va.
Okay,
exactly.
so all right, that Earth Shatter right there looked terrible. It's like, oh, Fate through the game, but actually, it wasn't. That was a good Earth Shatter. It was "Who are you" on Genji that dodged it. That was a spot on Earth Shatter, but "Who are you" just dashed out at the last second. That was a beautiful play.
Just goes to show how great of a Genji player this guy is. He died a lot of times, and he knows how to avoid death. We'll actually see it from his perspective now. I believe it was the play of the game for this match. But it was unfortunate that they used the Roadhog ult, nano boosted there a bit too early. If they had waited for Genji to ult, maybe they tracked the enemy ult a bit wrong there on Mighty's side. Maybe they didn't know that they had a nano blade. But if they waited a little bit more and used it when everyone else was collapsing in, Mighty would have easily taken that fight. But I think they forced things a little bit too much there.
For sure. I think that I thought that was just really well executed by Lunatic Hai, and that coupled with a little bit of botched execution in a couple places. It wasn't certainly the worst thing we've ever seen in our entire lives, right? But Mighty AOD didn't necessarily have everything on board. I think specifically that aggressive Nano Hog into a D.Va, because remember, the D.Va can just eat it all up, right? The D.Va can just eat it all up. It's not too big of a deal. Now, we're just going to see my face here, because on the scene that has Bishop on it, apparently the audio doesn't like to work. So we're just going to look at me. Pretend Bishop's here. You can imagine it. They're imagining you right now, Bishop. How does that make you feel?
I feel special.
Special.
I feel special. Yes.
Special. Hey, man, that's a good thing. That's
like the Wizard of Oz back in the.
Oh, like the you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the Wizard. They all you could do is imagine him the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys. By the way, put some questions in the chat. We'll take them right now. But just to wrap that up, though, like I said, guys, that was a great match. Go check it out. Apex Season 3. The rest of the match was good too. That was just one map out of their entire set, best of 5 set. And so, what would you think is the takeaway? We saw the triple support. That was a little bit of it. What do you think the takeaway is from this match? What's the moral of the story?
Oh, me?
No, I was talking to
the moral of the story.
Dumpling's not here, man.
Let's see. Triple support was definitely, yeah, I think that's the moral of the story. Like a little bit of reinforcement on the fact that a lot of teams are trying to stabilize last point with standard comps with Reinhardt. Other than that, you have the mid-range push, and triple support is kind of trying to be that first point defense. So there's the last point defense, which is standard first point defense. A lot of teams are actually trying out the triple support. And then this is exclusively for defense, yes. And midpoint you're just going to go back to the standard dives. So more people trying to up the meta, trying to develop here.
I love it. I love how, I mean, early on in the game's history, it was pretty much just like, all right, there's one best comp, we're just going to run that the entire time. You can say maybe it was because of balancing, but I think a lot of it was just that teams weren't super good yet. Now we're seeing that, particularly in Apex, these teams being like, okay, we're gonna play the first point and then swap and then swap and then swap. Like every single part of the map has all these nuances and all this different cool stuff that teams are doing. Now we're triple support is just another one of that. And yeah, a lot of teams have been running that. So I thought the swaps, particularly in this match, were absolutely great. All the different compositions we were seeing, whether it be one small hero switch or regardless. We have a question. A lot of questions, actually. So, Skyline, where do I prioritize positioning if I want to use a pulse bomb? Well, let me tell you this, all right? I know you really specified me, but I'm just going to disappoint you, and I'm going to make Bishop answer that. Where do I prioritize positioning if I want to use a pulse bomb specifically? Bishop.
Depends on what comp you're up against. If you're going to be up against dive, you're going to want to be in the back line. You're going to go for those lobbing bombs onto as much as you can. Ana is an easy target, mostly because she scopes a lot. And when you find your scoping, you dedicate at least 2-3 blinks in and just lob a bomb on. Easy kill. When you're against standard, however, a lot of the times you want to calculate how much matrix a diva has left, and you want to go for the pulse bomb right up the face into a Reinhardt. People can follow, and Reinhardt is really susceptible to pulse. So it kind of depends, but that's the general rule of thumb as a tracer. As standard, you're not going to be trying to literally go back behind their line. It's going to be a little bit more riskier. But against dive, towards the back, against standard, try to stick it on the Reinhardt, kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely it's the easiest to go for the Reinhardt, I think. Particularly if you are a newer tracer player or just sort of a not godly tracer player, going and being like, I'm gonna go blink, 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 stick their Ana, recall out, bam, that's my play. Like, that might not be the best plan. That's pretty hard to do. But just doing the simple plays, even just going for the Reinhardt. You know, you don't have to get these amazing pulse bombs every time, as long as you get a pulse bomb that does not whiff. A whiff pulse bomb, that's really bad, but a pulse bomb on literally anything else is quite good. Maybe not a Zarya with the bomb. I mean, maybe not a Zarya with the shield, but still, even then, you burn the shield, so that's not too terrible.
Give her a lot of energy.
I mean, yeah, you give her the energy, but
there is one thing I do want to point out, however.
Yeah,
it's a little trick that you can do, and it's like you precast your pulse bomb before you blink, and as soon as you press Q and then blink after, as you finish your blink and you teleport forward or wherever you're going, you land that pulse bomb. It's like an instantaneous pulse. League of Legends example would be Q as Alistar, and then you pulverize and then flash mid animation, so that as soon as you land your flash, you're pulverizing. So that would be the example. Now, how do you make this work every single time? Where you're going to go and practice against bots or against training bots to really get to know the distance of your blink off the back of your hand. So once you get it down, like if I blink here, I will land directly in front of Ana or whoever you're trying to pulse bomb. Q blink in and instantly sticky that pulse bomb. It requires a lot of practice, but if you can execute it correctly, it will enhance your fist bomb kills.
Oh yeah, we're gonna try the face. We're gonna try it one more time. No, it just no, we caught you in the act. No, it's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So we just have to look at me the entire time, I guess.
Okay.
So oh yeah. So just to clarify that, yeah, if you press Q, Tracer's like, she brings her arm out, she starts the animation to throw it, and then if you press blink, it then quickly enough, it will then finish the animation and go out immediately. We have another question. We'll take two more, guys. Two more. So when you're dueling a soldier who has visor on, and I've never thought about this before, this is a pretty good idea. If you're dueling a soldier who has visor on, should you just forget about AD spamming or moving around and just like stand still and just aim at him? I guess technically, yeah, right? I mean, maybe you probably want to hide behind something, but if you're like in an open field, if you're in the Wild Wild West, you're in this open field, there are tumbleweeds coming down, you're against the soldier, he has visor on, there's no real need to move.
Right. I mean, if there's anything you can hide behind, please hide behind it. If there's anyone like a person, like you could, good tanks will actually step in front of you to soak the damage, and that's really thankful. But other than that, if you're playing the open, it's just a 1v1, then pray for the best. Hope that you land all your headshots and clutch the soldier. See you.
Bishop is asking you politely, guys, please go behind the wall. You should move because his rocket may miss if you're moving. That's unlikely, unless you're super fast, unless you're like Lucio boosted. I guess it depends on the range. But yeah, you should definitely dodge the rocket. Definitely dodge the rocket, for sure. We'll take...
Rocket hurts.
Oh yeah, the rocket hurts. 100 damage, in fact. That's a lot. That's like half most people's health. Rough. We'll take one more question, guys. But in the meantime, so this show, for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, goes 4 p.m. usually Eastern time, Monday through Friday. But Bishop, he does stuff on Saturdays, and I've watched it before. His stuff is awesome. Bishop, tell us more about what you do on Saturdays.
Well, outside of work, I get bored, and I was thinking, what better to do than just do my job while I'm streaming and having fun with it. So
easy.
make work fun. And I picked up streaming, and it seemed the overall reception was positive. So I'm planning on doing it every week on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. PST. Yes. It will be saved on VODs. Plan on trying to do YouTube, but yeah, just once a week.
All right, sounds cool. Once a week, Saturday, 7 p.m. PST or 7:30 p.m. PST. That's pretty much the same time that this show today started, almost a little bit earlier. And he does full matches on his, or at least I don't know what you're gonna do in the future, but it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, it's great. So watch my thing Monday through Friday. Watch this thing Saturday. There you go. One more question. As Wonton, killing people that are mercy pocketed is hard. How do I do it? Well, if you're a Wonton, you're probably just gonna get eaten up alive. But if you're a Winston, as Winston, killing people that are mercy pocketed is hard. How do I do it? Can you kill people who are mercy pocketed as Winston?
Wonton is Winston?
Wonton is Winston, yeah. Winston is a Wonton.
Oh, I'm falling behind on these things. Okay.
The kids these days, dude, they just all these crazy names. And in class, no, it's because in class what happens is they'll be talking about Overwatch, right? But the teacher, you're not supposed to talk about video games, right, in school and stuff, right? So you're like, instead of being like, hey, Winston was mercy pocketed, I couldn't kill him, what a noob. It's like, hey, the Wonton, man. And she's like, what are you talking about? We're just talking about lunch. We're just coordinating our food. Our Wonton. But if a mercy
probably not.
If a mercy is pocketing your target as Winston, you are going to not kill them.
There are things that can optimize. You're going to, first of all, you have to gauge whether or not if this is going to be a long extended fight where someone's pocketed forever. In that case, you want to mix in melee attacks so that you can save your ammo. Why am I trying to use hard words here? Save your ammo while you're zapping your target.
We're just talking about school and,
and
my words.
Probably want to be on the mercy instead, rather than the target that's being pocketed.
Kill the mercy.
There's that.
Kill the mercy, not the person who the mercy is healing, because you can't do it. It's literally impossible. If you don't have any friends, at least, definitely go for the mercy. We'll actually take one more question because I like this one. What do you think of the viability of Torb as a support? So on my channel, I have always said that Torb is a support. Everyone always hates on me for it. Bishop, please give me some credibility.
But he's labeled as a. He's not labeled as a support, is he? He's
not.
I'm screwing with you.
He's not.
Oh my
he
gosh!
Can
take the spot.
I did the same thing happened with May. I was talking about May, and everyone's like, "But May's a defense hero. May's a defense hero.
Defense hero.
Torbjorn's a defense hero. His role is defense. It's like, what do you do with Torbjorn? I defense, dude. What are you talking about? I defense. So go on.
He's found a niche in this meta because it's so dive populated, and turrets really give a hard time for Genji here on defense. On defense if you're a Torb, and he definitely can take a support spot. I can understand why you say that he is more of a support here class, and that he's setting up turrets like a Symmetra would to some degree. But his aim potential, the damage dealing potential that he has, kind of breaks him out of that bracket.
Oftentimes
and shifts him a little bit more.
Oftentimes he takes the support slot, though. I noticed.
Right.
Which makes me kind of call him a support. It's like, well, if you have like I don't know, if you have, for example, Soldier. I'm just gonna make up a team comp. If you have like Soldier with 3 tanks and a Torbjorn and an Ana, is that like 3 tanks, 2 supports, and a support, or is that just a regular triple tank with 2 support? Like I usually instead of counting him as a DPS in that case, I count him as a support. I think that's a bit more appropriate. But I mean, in the end, it's all just semantics. But he does take the support role almost always.
Right. In that sense, yes. He will almost always be taking that support role over a Lucio. Popular maps being Numbani at the moment. A lot of teams running Torbjorn because it's very awkward for Lucio to cover his whole team with the heals that he has. And the map's just structured in a way that's kind of awkward for him. So Torbjorn being the go-to pick for a lot of teams, especially Kongdu. I remember playing
yeah.
Torbjorn in Kong, dude, when that was an Apex season. Yeah. So
There you go.
fun times with Torb.
From the short, stout man himself, the Torbjorn player. Anyway, guys, it's been a great time tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it, especially for I think for the people on stream. I think I'll be done after this. But anyway, Bishop, it was great having you on, man. It was super fun.
I had a blast too, Sky. That was actually
I know,
really
it was
fun.
awesome.
I was shy, but you know what?
No.
That was fun.
No, you weren't shy. You were fine. I wish that you could be here instead of everyone's just imagining you. Imagining your body, not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Oh, say any last stuff, any last words you want to give Bishop, maybe about, I don't know, some shout outs, something like that.
I know what you guys are gonna ask.
Oh no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. No.
We'll. You guys don't have to wait too long. I'll just say that.
All right, we're talking, of course, about the new Cloud9 member, and of course, shout out to Cloud9 rather as an org, as a whole. Those guys are great over there. I know that from firsthand experience. Plus, the team itself is great. Bishop is great, as we've seen here. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you soon. Never forget to stay positive. Have a great day. Adios.
I need to work on staying positive. Adios, everyone.
See you later.